This is a video review of the Canon EOS 1DS Mark I professional SLR camera. It was launched in 2003, so it's been around a while now, and there have been several updates to the line in the years since. But if you're looking for a cheap full-frame digital SLR camera, then this is certainly an option. And here's the camera up close. For the purposes of this video review, I've attached a Canon 17 to 40mm f4L lens on the front. The 1DS itself is an 11.4 megapixel camera, so it's going to take a pretty decent size image. It's not going to be up to the same size as, say, the more recent 1DS Mark III, which can take a staggering 21 megapixel image, but even so 11.4 is going to be fine for most uses. As you can see here, the camera is quite a lot bigger than previous cameras, like the lower end cameras, the prosumer level cameras, and that's because you've got an extra grip on the side here. It also seconds as the battery compartment for the camera, but it means you can hold the camera in landscape mode and then just as easily in portrait mode, so it makes it, easy to take pictures with this camera. And as a result, the camera is pretty heavy. It weighs 1.26 kilograms, almost twice the weight of most non-professional cameras, so it is pretty heavy. It is naturally a metal body construction, and all the compartments and buttons have got environmental seals, and if I move in closely you might be able to see like these little rings around the buttons. Those are little rubber rings which are meant to make sure that, sort of like if you're using this in bad weather conditions, that none of the elements will actually get into the body of the camera itself. So it is a very sturdy camera. You can use it in lots of different environments, but you also have to bear in mind, if the lens itself isn't environmentally sealed, the elements could get into the body of the camera that way, so make sure you've got a good quality lens on the front, one of the L lenses for example. With Canon's professional SLR cameras, you will often notice button duplication. This means it's going to be easy for you to quickly press the buttons that you need, whether you're in landscape mode or you're holding the camera in portrait mode, and as you'll see, the buttons that you need will be duplicated and it makes it easy for you to get access to them. The 1DS Mark I has got a staggering 45-point focusing system, which is, pretty special. Most SLR cameras generally have 9 to 12, so having 45 gives you a lot of flexibility in being able to focus in on individual elements of the scene. On the back of the camera, you've got your standard navigation wheel, your menu select buttons on the side. You've got a compact flash compartment. If you press that button there, it opens up. That's where you stick your compact flash card. In the more modern 1DS cameras, you also be able to put other memory formats in as well. But with the 1DS Mark I, it's just compact flash. The LCD screen is 2 inches in size. In its day, it was probably cutting edge, but compared to modern cameras, it really doesn't compare at all, really. The images are generally pretty poor quality when you're looking through the LCD screen, and you can't zoom in on the images either. You'll also notice that if you're taking a picture, say in the full 11 megapixels, also in RAW mode, it will take an age for the image to show up here. So it does leave the LCD screen to be somewhat redundant. On the side of the camera, behind these very well sealed flaps, you've got your access to your external flash, your remote for example, connect your camera to a computer. Your battery compartment's at the bottom here. Very massive battery you get with the 1DS, and then you just slide the button to fit it back into place. To change the various settings and modes of the camera, you're going to use these buttons on the top here, and what you normally do is you either press one button on its own, or you're going to press a combination of buttons and use the slider wheel to change the settings. This is all great because it packs everything into just having to use 3 buttons, but sometimes it's difficult to remember when you're looking through the viewfinder which 2 buttons to press when you want to, say, change the ISO level for example. The ISO level of the 1DS ranges from 50 up to 1250, so it's not a great range, and it's going to be, it's not going to compare to the more modern cameras, but that's the range of an older camera, I guess. In continuous shooting mode, it'll shoot at 3 frames per second, which is adequate. It's not amazing. More modern ones can shoot up to 7 frames a second these days, but it will shoot at 3 frames a second. And as with all professional Canon cameras, they will only take Canon EF lenses. So if you've got any EFS lenses, they are not going to work on a Canon 1DS. So, why would you want to buy a Canon 1DS when, a number of capabilities of the camera are inferior to the more modern SLRs that are available today? For me personally, there's two reasons really. Firstly is the image quality. With the sensor in this camera and with the the 45-point focusing system, you're going to get a very high quality image provided you've got a good lens on the front. And secondly, and more importantly, is that it's a full frame digital SLR. It's going to be great for landscape photography where you're going to get more of the scene in when you're taking a picture. As an example, I have two images here. Now this first image was taken with a Canon 40D with the 17-40mm lens on the front. Now if you compare that to this second image, which was taken with the Canon 1DS, and you can immediately notice that the 1DS is taking in a lot more of the actual landscape in front of it. So when it comes to landscape photography, having a full frame digital SLR really is quite a big advantage. Here are some examples of photos taken with the Canon 1DS. All the images here are unedited, so they're basically straight out of the camera. They were taken with a Canon 17-40mm f4L lens, which is quite a high quality lens, and it's quite a good combination. My personal opinion is that I think the Canon 1DS really does take incredibly sharp images, very high quality, good clarity and great colours. This picture here was taken with a tripod to get the traffic light effect, but apart from that it's it's completely unedited. You can see full-size versions of these pictures if you go onto my website. In terms of price, the Canon 1DS you can't buy new anymore because of its age, but second-hand or used you can pick one up for between £600 and £700. As a way of comparison, the Canon 1DS Mark III, brand new, that's going to cost about £5,000, so it's going to be 8 to 10 times more expensive to get like the latest model. The alternatives to the 1DS, if you're looking for a full-frame digital SLR in the Canon range, would be the Canon 5D or the 5D Mark II. The 5D Mark II typically costs brand new around about £1,500 £1,600. Second hand about £1,200, but probably the direct competitor you'd be looking at would be the 5D Mark I, and the price of that camera second hand is typically slightly cheaper than the 1DS, and you could probably pick one up for about £550. Now if you are after a full frame digital SLR and you're deciding between the 1DS or the Canon 5D, the differences really lie in a couple of places. Firstly, the Canon 1DS is environmentally sealed, so it's going to be fine for taking in bad weather and everything like that, which the Canon 5D isn't. Secondly, the 5D has only got 9 focusing elements as opposed to 45 that you get with the 1DS. But on the other side, the 5D is a newer camera, so it's going to have better capabilities, better functions. It's going to have higher ISO range, for example. The LCD screen is a lot better on the 5D than the 1DS. It's also smaller and lighter, so it's a lot easier to carry around. So that's my overview of the Canon EOS 1DS. In conclusion, the plus points are firstly and most importantly the image quality. The image quality of this camera, if you're using the right lens as well, is superb. I think you'd be very, very happy with the quality of the images you'd be taking with this camera. Secondly, it's a full frame digital SLR. That's great for landscape photography. You're going to pack in a lot of the scene when you're taking a picture with this camera. And thirdly, it's a very strong, environmentally sealed camera body. You can take it out in bad weather conditions and still use this camera without worrying it's going to damage the camera in any way. Now the minus points of this camera, well basically it's an old camera, it was launched in 2003, so the capabilities are dated compared to modern ones. So for example, the ISO level only goes up to 1250, the modern cameras they can go up to 12,000. The continuous shooting mode only 3 frames per second as opposed to 7 frames per second on sort of more modern cameras. The LCD screen on the back is basically rubbish compared to modern cameras. It can take up to 5 seconds or even longer for an image to register here once you've taken a picture, so it makes it very frustrating to use if you're reviewing your images. And lastly, it's a very big and heavy camera. At 1.26 kilograms, it is pretty heavy, and it's not going to be suitable for taking around with you on all occasions. You're going to have to probably get a special bag to put this thing in. But at the end of the day, it is a full-frame digital SLR camera which takes really good quality pictures. And if you are after a full-frame camera, this is, a very strong contender. There we are. I hope you've enjoyed this review of the Canon EOS 1DS. And if you'd like to check out some more reviews, you can go to my YouTube channel, which is SLR Lens. Thank you.